Hello, this is Cecil Sunk here from Hotkeyit.com, and I am going to tell you guys about how to have good mechanics. What's really important about having good mechanics is that in order to have good macro, which is something every player should focus on, you have to have pretty decent mechanics. And that's actually not commonly talked about, and a lot of players probably don't really take realization of that fact. To quickly define what mechanics are the ability to perform the actions necessary to play the game well and properly. So things I'm going to specifically go over are F keys, hotkeys, and control groups. And I'm going to go over them in such a way that you can immediately start practicing on them, and as soon as you become comfortable with these ideas, then you can start playing your games and you just see and feel a very big improvement in the efficiency in how you play. So to start with, I'm going to talk about F keys. So right when the game starts, you'll have your 6 probes here, and imagine that none of these are set. So what I start with is the game starts, I hit E, and then order my probes, and immediately control group this nexus on 1. And throughout the duration of this video, you'll see me hotkey things in different spots. It's not so important that you copy exactly my hotkey setup. What's most important is that you just have them hotkeyed somewhere that's comfortable for you. So I hotkey this nexus, and I also place down screen positions at all 3 of the bases that I'm going to take. My first 3 bases, that is. So that way I can hit a button and jump to these 3 buildings at will very, very quickly. What that allowed me to do is macro and have very efficient macro. So in order to set those buttons up, I bound them to F2, which is my main, F3 from my natural, F4 to my third. So let me go ahead and pull up the hotkey buttons down here. You can see create location 1, 2, 3, and 4 are set to control F1 through F4. That way I can hit control F1, F2, F3, and F4 to save a spot, and then I can hit F1 through F4 to jump to the spot that I saved. And I have F2, F3, and F4 set up just like so. That way I can jump between these spots very, very, very quickly. It's super awesome. You should feel absolutely powerful once you start using this setup. Next thing I want to talk about is your army control groups. Usually whenever I play, I have my army on 4, 5, and 6. And the reason I have it on 4, 5, and 6 is because it's extremely awkward for me to hit 1A, 2A, 3A. I just don't understand how players do that efficiently, and I think 4A, 5A is a lot easier than 1A, 2A. So I just have my army on 4 and 5, and this is how I play. I'll have my fast units on 4, slower units on 5. That way they're not all bunched up together, and my quick units aren't waiting for my slow units, and I can actually go around the map, do stuff with my quick units, and have my slower units usually back oriented towards my natural and my third. And then I can hit 4 or 5A to order them to the same spot very quickly, and it's not at all difficult. So I recommend you control grouping your army into 2 control groups. Fast units that are somewhere on the map as one hotkey. There we go, one hotkey. Slow units on the other hotkey. And then other things you need to have hotkeyed is every single nexus that you own. I have some nexuses on this side of the map, just because I was getting tech and such. You need to have all your nexuses on one hotkey. That way you can order probes by just hitting E. You can see them queue up. I hit E like 5 times. And it's very easy. And additionally, having screen positions lets you set the rally point of your nexuses anywhere you want very quickly. You can also jump to a base and transfer probes to another base very quickly using your screen position keys. The last thing I'd like to talk about is building hotkeys and jumping back to your base to macro. So what you need to have memorized are all the hotkeys to build all these various things. A very easy way to memorize these is to open up the menu, go to options, gameplay. This little thing right here, display command hotkey text. You hit this, checkmark it, and hit accept. Although I don't know why it's not working, but it should for you. After you do that, there'll be a little button. You can see the M for move. It'll be actually on the key. So that way you'll have a visual indicator on the buttons telling you which letter to hit for which hotkey. That's what I did to memorize all the different stuff. V is for advanced buildings, B is for basic. And once you have these memorized, you need to be able to place buildings this at least as fast as I am right now. It's just a quick demonstration. Just like so. If you can place buildings at least that quick, then you're gonna have the decent macro that you require, or decent mechanics you require to have good macro. And then to be able to place down multiple buildings very quickly, if you just hit BE to build a pylon, you can see that each previous order to build a pylon is overwritten by the new one. So what you do is you hold shift, and shift allows you to queue these commands to where the previous command doesn't overwrite, or newer commands don't overwrite previous ones. Additionally, you can grab like 4 probes, slam a bunch down, and they'll each go to a different pylon and place it. That way you can kind of get them all down quicker, instead of one probe slowly doing each one, and so forth. I have all my gateways, or my work gates, accessed on the W hotkey. I suggest you just do the same thing. That way you can use the mini-map, click somewhere, hit W, and then very easily order all your guys from your work gates. And lastly, I'd like to quickly talk about the observer. The observer is something that you always need to have hotkeyed, and I suggest having him on a hotkey you're comfortable with so that you can always have him moving around the map on paths of travel, trying to find out where your opponent's army is. Doing this will help increase your overall sense of mechanics and let you kind of practice being very quick and efficient with your hotkeys and your mechanics. And actually, there's one more quick thing. I suggest having robotics facilities or stargates on their own hotkey. Usually I have them both hotkeyed to 2, and then in order to order the different units from the different buildings, you actually just hit tab. So I'll show you this with a Nexus and a work gate. Right now, I only see the selection for probes, but if I hit tab, I can see the selection for all my gateways. So the same thing works with the stargates and the robos. You can hit tab to jump between building. You can see the selection highlight back and forth between building robo units and stargate units. And then where to put this rally point, I actually put it on my observer that's over my army. So that way, units that walk from these structures walk towards my army, and the observer rarely dies, so it's like a mobile rally point going towards my army, which is really cool. And then in order to quickly order some units, you can hit 2-2, which is what I have. 2-2, and then I'll do like VV, and then 1 CC. That way I can order everything very quickly. Bam bam, chrono, go back to my army in a very efficient manner. And that will conclude the video on good mechanics. There's actually going to be a part 2, which covers building placement, army positioning, and really in-depth details. That way you can avoid some really retarded, unnecessary losses, and it'll make the games that you have feel less randomized, which is very important for an improving player. And you can go ahead and ask any questions you have about the video in the Hotkeyit forums. I will gladly answer them, and I hope you enjoy the video.